is August the 3rd of 2021. Today is our regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Alabama Public Service Commission. For the record, the public was notified of today's meeting by notice dated July the 7th of 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. And at this time each month, one commissioner gets to bring in a special guest. As you all know, we have not brought in many special guests lately because of the pandemic and things going on in our country. So today is exciting. We actually have a special guest back with us, and one that's not just special, but extra special to this commission. So I'm going to let somebody that might be a commissioner to all of you, but I think he's Pop to somebody over here. So, but we sure are glad to have you, Ford.
Thank you. It is a pleasure, and it's my honor to introduce my grandson, Chris Vernon Beaker IV. We call him Ford. He's going into the 9th grade. He's at TA, Tuscaloosa Academy. He plays football, basketball, golf, and runs track. He's the captain of the football team. He's an ambassador for our school. He plays the viola and speaks French. He's a leader, a people person, a proud advocate for what he believes in, and he tells me, to be governor one day. So I said, sonny boy, you're going to grow up, but you just hang with it. So there he is. That's him.
Ford, we're thrilled to have you. If everybody would stand. You'll hold 1 minute. We're going to come down and I want to get my picture made with the future governor. So.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And can you believe your granddaddy didn't put Pop? Anyway, you want to stand right here?
Grandma's got precedence on this one. I'm just going to tell y'all that.
Picture.
Come on, look at
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was going to say, you have to meet my daughter. She's going in 9th grade.
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
But she wants to be governor too, so you might.
Dear precious Jesus, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings that you give everyone in this room, and we hope that everyone that Pops and all them make good decisions. And Lord, we just pray for our country right now, and we hope that we get through these tough times and stick together. And we are so fortunate and blessed to get to know you, and we hope that we can help people and to get to know you and what you have done for us. And we just thank you for all the wonderful blessings that you've given us. In Christ's name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent.
Before I give the mic over to my colleagues for their personal points of privilege, I'd just like to say that on August the 11th, we will have 811 Day in Alabama. And it's just a reminder to everyone to please call 811 before you dig. Doesn't matter if you're planting a tree or if you're doing major construction and building a basement for a home, doesn't matter at what level you're digging. If you're going to dig in our state, it's an easy situation to call 811 before you dig. They'll come out, they'll mark your property. It's simple. They do it within 48 hours, and you'll have it, and it'll save you a lot of trouble and maybe an expense that you didn't want to incur. So please remember this August 11th is 811 Call Before You Dig Day in Alabama. We've had the month, and now it's the day, and so please just remember, and if you see someone out, let them know. So thank you all, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Oden.
Thank you, Madam President, and we just want to echo that it is a safety procedure, and it is if you've never had to do that, it's very easy to do. You just pick up the phone, call, and they'll get you on the schedule, right, Wallace, and get it there and do it to it. So also, I want to mention that, this is our school start back month. A lot of teachers, a lot of students, a lot of principals and administration will be starting schools back in August. So we want to keep them in our prayers and make sure that we realize where and how they are being done on going back to school and all the stuff that comes with that. And then finally this morning, Madam President, I want to take just a moment and say thank you to someone who has, for the last 8 years, been one of my right hands and all that he has done here at the PSC. He's just been an excellent employee, and best of all, he's been one of the best friends that you could have. He's always dependable, and he's been there for me, and I appreciate all the sacrifices that he's made. If you haven't heard, Spears will be leaving us, or actually already left us, hadn't you? So Friday was his actual last day, and it's amazing how you intervene in people's lives and what happens just in that short period of time. And we have two twins, Roberts and Spears came along, and now I got to see them grow up, and then Wales comes along after that. And the funniest thing I've ever seen is Wales running down the street naked as a jaybird. So he gets to grow up and goes with that. And but he and Megan, his wife, have been excellent friends to us, and we at my office appreciate everything he sacrificed for us. We'll be kicking him out the door with a cookie after this. So if y'all don't mind to come by and see him after we get through our meetings, he'll be down in the office if you want to say good luck to Spears as he goes from a state office to a private office. So just stop in. Spears, we do appreciate, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. And so thank you. And thank you, Madam President. Let me have that.
Thank you, Spears. We'll miss you.
We miss you, Spears.
All right, and now we will look at the agenda for the day, and with there being no old business to discuss, we'll move on to the new business here at the Commission. First off will be our Public Service Commission reports, and we will begin with our Utility Services Division presented by Mr. Darrell Baker, our Division Director.
This is the Consumer Services Report for the month of July. Beginning with electric and gas inquiries, they decreased. Alabama Powers, compared to last month, went down by 5, Spire, Alabama down by 3, and Spire Gulf down by 3. Overall, a drop of 11, which is good news. Moving on to the telecommunications inquiries for the month of July. Basic service, we had 1, and that's a drop of 3 from the previous month. Other retail services and issues, we total received increased by 6, and under PSC jurisdiction increased by 4. The waived inquiries, the ones from those companies that waived jurisdiction on that, increased by 8, and total increase was 9. If there's no questions, I'll move on to the gas report. This is the division report on rate RSE. June 30th is a point of test for both Spire companies. The point of test is based on actual revenues and expenses through June 30th and budgeted through 30 September. For Spire, Alabama, the projected RSE return on average common equity for the rate year ending September 30th is 10.59%, and that's within the authorized range, so obviously there's no adjustment. For Spire Gulf, it was 10.23%, which is below the authorized range, but under RSC, there's no adjustment to rates. If there's no questions, I'll move to the next 2 items, both for Spire, Alabama. Docket U 5391. This is an application for approval of a special services agreement with John Soul Foods in Valley, Alabama. They process frozen beef and frozen chicken. And then docket U5401 is a base contract for sale and purchase of natural gas with Koch Energy. We recommend approval of both.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Moving to the water agenda, we have one wastewater item. Docket 31803, Integrated Wastewater Management, Inc. And this is to modify the certificate of financial viability by adding wastewater systems to it. What they want to add is existing Queenstown Industrial Park South Addition and its planned expansion, which is Queenstown's Industrial Park South Addition second sector. This is located in Alton, Alabama, and Jefferson County. We recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Moving to the telecommunications agenda, I have three items I'd like to present together under one recommendation. First, under cancellation withdrawals, docket 27742, LCR Telecommunications seeks approval to cancel their certificate and withdraw their tariff. They're they offer toll resale service in Alabama, and they no longer provide service. The next two items are for Bell South Telecommunications LLC, doing business as AT&T or AT&T Alabama or AT&T Southeast. Both are grandfathering existing access services. The first is under docket U5373, and it grandfathers metallic voice grade, Watts, access lines, and digital data services. These services will be discontinued on or after June 24th or June 30th, 2024. And the second is under docket U5374, and this grandfathers wavelength service in the access services tariff. And this service will be discontinued on March 30th, 2024. We recommend approval for both.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
The remaining 27 items on the agenda are for information only. They require no vote because they're presumptively valid. Unless you have questions, this concludes our new business before the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, before we have our Mr. Jones up, I am going to ask us to approve and adopt the minutes from our July 13th, 2021 Public Service Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Next, we have Mr. Wallace Jones, the Division Director of our Gas Pipeline and Safety Division.
And good morning, and thank you for the 811 day plug you gave us earlier. We are so happy to be able to celebrate that again this year. You have before you the agenda for the Gas Pipeline Safety Division dated July 27th. First thing we have is we had a total of 47 inspections last month with 5 enforcement letters and 18 non-compliance issues. We did not have any reportable incidents during the month of June, which was great. We had 4 training sessions of polyethylene plastic fusion at 4 different locations. And then on page 2, I participated in a workshop with the LPG board going over the new NFPA code book. And Mr. Greg Meadows and I attended the ANGA annual meeting that month also. And pending any questions, that's our report for the month. Short and sweet.
Like it. Thank you very much. Next, we have our Utility Enforcement Division represented by Administrative Law Judge Scott Morris, who is our acting director.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, Commissioners. Got just a few items I want to highlight on today's report. Again, a relatively routine month in the Utility Enforcement Division. In our railway safety section, kind of a normal level of inspections. There were 4 violations recommended on the motive power and equipment inspections out of 961 units inspected. Fortunately, in our incidents, there were no fatalities reported this month, which is always good. We did again have 4 violations with civil penalties in the month of June. For motor carrier services, again, a relatively routine month. UCR continues to be moving along at a record pace. We are anticipating about a 26% reduction in the fee for 2023, which we're getting ready to, the board will be voting on that next week for a recommendation to the Secretary of Transportation to lower those UCR fees for the 2023 year by approximately 26%. So that'll be good news for the motor carrier industry. Moving on to field services. The one item I want to draw your attention to there, and this, the staff visit to Waterworks Incorporated, we've been having some issues with that company, just getting them to do some things that were highlighted in previous inspections to correct some deficiencies. We've had to reschedule an inspection a couple of times. We've given them to the end of August to get into compliance. I'm also working with Mr. Baker on this. I think they're having some issues on their financial side as well. So we're going to be following that, and we'll keep you posted if we have any further issues with that company.
Have you already held your meeting with Judge Garner and?
Not yet, not
Okay.
yet. We're still working. Mr. Peeler, who handles that issue on Mr. Baker's staff, has been out with some family illness. So we're kind of waiting to get everybody in the office, and I think we're still trying to determine if we want to wait until this next deadline before we move forward. But everybody is aware of the situation, so
Okay.
we're just going to, I guess at this point, see how they respond and then come up with our actions at that point.
Okay, I just want to make sure we take this very seriously and stay on top of it.
We definitely are. It's on everybody's radar, and it's probably our highest item of interest in field services right now.
Thank you. I appreciate all you're doing.
Pending any questions, this concludes my report, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have our Electricity Policy Division. Today, the presentation will be by Ms. Patricia Smith, our Public Utility Analyst Manager. Mr. John Free, our Division Director, is out of the office today with work-related issues.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you.
You have before you the Electricity Policy Division agenda dated July 27, 2021. The first item on our agenda is the division's monthly report on rates RSE and ECR and dockets 18117, 18416, and 18148. Regarding rate RSE, the staff performed its monthly examination of the books and records of Alabama Power Company and determined the reprojected weighted return on average retail common equity was 6.75% for the 12 months ending December 31, 2021. This return is based on 6 months of actual data for January through June 2021 and 6 months of budget data for July through December 2021. Moving to rate ECR, the staff performed the regular monthly review of Alabama Power's energy costs for the month of June 2021 and determined an underrecovery of approximately $7.7 million. Commissioners, pending any question, that completes our report.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we have our Legal Division. Presenting will be Hearing Officer Sue Ellen Young, and then followed by Judge John Garner.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 2 items for you today. The first is docket C-19935, petition of Gardner Bulk and Transport, Inc. of Alabaster, Alabama for reinstatement of motor carrier certificate F5184. The certificate was revoked due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability and cargo insurance coverage. I recommend that you grant the petition for reinstatement. Docket C-12040, petition of Massey Hauling Company, Inc. of Aniana, Alabama for cancellation of cargo self-insurance authority. Recommend a grant of the petition for cancellation of cargo self-insurance authority.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes,
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Judge.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the last item on the Legal Division agenda dated July 28, 2021, on page 2 of that document. The docket number is 25408, which concerns the petition of Windstream Communications LLC for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier. If granted, the petition will make Windstream eligible to receive federal universal service funding under the Federal Rural Digital Opportunity Fund program. Windstream seeks designation as an ETC for a service area that encompasses the entire state of Alabama. Notice of Windstream's petition was served on all parties of interest. No party submitted comments by the established deadline. The recommendation is for a grant of the petition.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Holden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beagle.
Yes.
I will now move to the off-agenda items that were circulated on July 30th, 2021. I have two items on that document. The first is under docket 32382, which concerns Alabama Power's renewable generation certificate. By way of letter dated July 16, 2021, Alabama Power is requesting to extend for an additional 6 years the renewable generation certificate granted by order of the commission dated September 16, 2015 in this cause. The sole purpose of this request is to seek additional time within which the company may exercise rights under the RGC without any other change to its operative terms, conditions, and requirements. As such, the company submits that no hearing should be required in connection with its request. To date, Alabama Power has worked with customers to deploy 4 solar projects under the RGC, comprising a total of approximately 170 megawatts. That leaves unused authority of approximately 330 megawatts of the originally approved 500 megawatts. Absent an extension of the RGC, the unexercised capacity amount of 330 megawatts will expire on September 16th, 2021. If any of the originally authorized 500 megawatts has not been exercised by the new proposed deadline of September 16, 2027, the certificate authorization for that unexercised capacity will expire. The recommendation is for approval of Alabama Power's request as submitted.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Holden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beagle.
Yes.
I'll now move to docket 28101, which concerns the Spire Gulf RSE renewal. On July 1, 2021, Spire Gulf and the Office of the Attorney General submitted for the Commission's consideration a proposed settlement agreement encompassing the following terms and conditions. With regard to ROE range, the parties recommended an adjusting point of 9.95% with a range of 9.7 to 10.3%. The parties agreed to an equity cap of 55.5%. They agreed to an RSC term of 4 years. With regard to the CCM mechanism for Spire Gulf, the parties proposed that the CCM will use fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses as its base year, provided the fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses land below the fiscal year 2020 actual O&M expenses. Otherwise, the base year will be the fiscal year 2020 actual O&M expenses as proposed by the parties. They also proposed reversion to the original sharing percentages from past RSC terms, which are 50-50 for any benefit and 75-25 for any penalty against CPI, August CPIU will be used rather than June under the proposed terms of the agreement. With regard to AGA dues, the parties recommend that 50% of the AGA dues will remain unrecoverable under the RSC mechanism. And with regard to points of test, the parties submitted an agreement that proposed 3 points of test in March, June, and September annually. After reviewing the proposed settlement terms, the commission staff recommends acceptance of the proposed settlement terms with the following adjustments. With regard to CCM, the staff finds that the terms proposed by Spire Gulf and the AG are acceptable, subject to the following modifications. The fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses will be used as the base year under the staff recommendation. In those years, when a penalty is assessed under the CCM, the base year for the succeeding rate year CCM calculations will remain unaffected. that is, the base year will be the CPIU adjusted base year O&M expenses. In those rate years, when an incentive is received by the company, however, the base year O&M expense is reset to the actual O&M expense for that rate year and becomes the base year O&M expense used in CCM calculations beginning with the succeeding rate year. Also, in those rate years when an incentive is received by the company, the amount of the incentive is transferred to a reserve account for economic development. The economic development reserve shall be excluded from calculations of common equity. Further, any expenditures from the economic development reserve must first have commission approval, and the amounts thereof shall continue to be excluded from common equity. With regard to points of test, the staff recommends 2 points of test on April 30 and September 30, as opposed to the 3 points of test recommended in the agreement submitted. As I said before, all other terms of the proposed agreement are recommended for staff, or by staff for approval. So the ultimate recommendation is for an adoption of the settlement agreement submitted by Spire Gulf and the AG on July 1, 2021, as modified by the above discussed staff adjustments, which are recommended for approval in their entirety.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Lastly, Madam President, I have the list of administrative items, which consist entirely of all pending motor carrier matters. I recommend approval of those items.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other new business to bring before the commission? With there being no more new business, in closing, let me remind you that our next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be Tuesday, September 14th. It's a little bit later in the month because of the way Labor Day falls, but it'll be September 14th, 2021. At this point, don't forget to turn your phones back on so as not to miss